The quantum-resonant axe hung in its crystalline suspension chamber, a weapon that had become both legend and nightmare across 3 galactic quadrants. Its edge caught the light of 1,000 dying stars, each microscopic facet telling a story of conquest that spanned millennia. Xrala's 6-fingered hand hovered near the weapon's containment field, her biometallic exoskeleton rippling with the anticipation of another massacre. She was the 793rd Queen of the Zarkali Dominion, a title that meant more than mere royalty. It was a testament to generations of unbroken martial supremacy. The bridge of her flagship, the Eternal Cleaver, hummed with a predatory silence. Holographic, displays flickered with the trajectories of countless worlds, each a potential target, each a potential addition to the Zarkali's endless conquest. Her tactical officers, biomechanical beings more machine than organic, waited with the stillness of perfectly calibrated weapons. "Proximity alert," announced Vornak, her chief navigator, his voice a low mechanical growl. "Human colony detected. Proxima Centauri B." Nexrala's laugh was a sound that had broken civilizations. It was a cascade of razor-sharp frequencies that made even her most hardened warriors instinctively straighten. "Humans," she spat the word like a curse, the universe's most persistent vermin. The history of human encounters was a curiosity among the Zarkali. Unlike other species that had immediate collapsed before the quantum-resonant axes, humans seemed to possess an infuriating capacity for resistance. Not survival, resistance. Every invasion report contained anomalies, unexpected tactical shifts, technological adaptations that shouldn't have been possible. But adaptations meant nothing against a weapon that could slice through the fabric of reality itself. Xrala's primary axe, the Whisper Cleaver, was more than a weapon. It was a living testament to Zarkali technological supremacy. Forged in the heart of a collapsing neutron star, quantum entangled at the moment of its creation, the axe could cut through dimensional barriers as easily as a standard blade might, slice through water. Each of its quantum-resonant markings represented a conquered civilization. Billions of lives reduced to intricate, blood-red geometric patterns that pulsed with an almost sentient hunger. The weapon wasn't just a tool of war, it was a living record of the Zarkali's absolute dominance. "Prepare standard invasion protocol," Nexrala commanded. Her voice carried the weight of 900 years of uninterrupted military conquest. Standard protocol meant total annihilation. No prisoners, no survivors, just complete eradication. Vornak hesitated, a microscopic pause that would have been invisible to any other species. "Queen," he began, the honorific a razor-thin layer of respect over a growing uncertainty. "The human statistical resistance metrics are anomalous." Nexrala's secondary eyes, smaller, positioned just above her primary optical sensors, narrowed. "Explain." The holographic display shifted, showing combat records from previous human encounters. Where other species had collapsed within hours of a Zarkali invasion, humans showed patterns that defied conventional military understanding. Tactical, retreats that became counterattacks. Technological improvisation that seemed to emerge from nothing. "In the last 17 encounters," Vornak reported, "human colonies have maintained partial operational capability in 63% of invasions. Comparative data shows this is unprecedented in our recorded galactic history." Another warrior would have been concerned. Nexrala was amused. "Unprecedented?" she asked, her voice a blade of pure contempt. "They are still humans. We are the Zarkali. Our axes have consumed galaxies. Their resistance is nothing more than the death throes of a species, too ignorant to understand its own extinction." She reached into the suspension chamber. The Whisper Cleaver responded to her touch, quantum matrices realigning, ready to feed, ready to consume. "Plot fastest descent vector," she commanded. "Total planetary destruction is the only acceptable outcome." The bridge erupted into a symphony of quantum calculations and weapon synchronization, billions of computational processes aligned to prepare for invasion. What Nexrala didn't know, what none of the Zarkali could possibly anticipate, was that this invasion would be different, that the humans of Proxima Centauri b were already watching, already planning, and they were far from afraid. The Whisper Cleaver pulsed, its quantum markings dancing with an hunger that had consumed worlds. But this time, it would meet a species that understood hunger in an entirely different way. The hunger for survival, for innovation, for something far more dangerous than mere conquest. The first Zarkali drop pods breached the atmosphere of Proxima Centauri b like crimson daggers of pure destruction. Their quantum-resonant hulls sang a death song that had silenced 1,000 civilizations, a technological hymn of inevitability. Captain Elena Rodriguez watched from the underground command center, her hands dancing across holographic interfaces that looked like they'd been cobbled together from salvaged parts and pure human determination. Around her, a team of scientists, engineers, and soldiers moved with a synchronicity that defied conventional military logic. "Incoming wave," announced Dr. Kai Chen, his voice calm despite the apocalyptic scenario unfolding above them. 16 primary drop pods, quantum signature matches previous invasion patterns. Rodriguez didn't flinch. Her eyes, a storm of calculation and barely contained fury, tracked each incoming vessel. Most military leaders would be preparing evacuation protocols. She was preparing something entirely different. The colony of Proxima Centauri b was humanity's most advanced frontier settlement. Established 30 years earlier, it had become a proving ground for human adaptability. Situated on a planet with extreme magnetic fluctuations and unpredictable quantum atmospheric conditions, the humans here had learned to turn environmental challenges into technological opportunities. The first Zarkali warriors materialized through their quantum phase entry points, biomechanical nightmares that stood 3 meters tall, their bodies a terrifying fusion of organic matter and living technology. Each carried weapons that could slice through starship hulls, each movement a testament to millennia of refined martial perfection. They expected surrender. They expected terror. Instead, they found preparation. Tactical grid activated, Chen reported. Around the colony, seemingly random clusters of communications arrays, mining equipment, and agricultural machines began to shift. Panels opened. Weapon systems emerged that shouldn't have existed. Rodriguez had spent the last 3 years preparing for this moment, not just defending, but understanding. "They think technology is magic," she muttered, adjusting a quantum frequency modulator that looked like it had been assembled from parts of a communications array and an industrial mining laser. "We're going to prove it's just science they haven't understood yet." The Zarkali's initial assault was a masterpiece of destructive precision. Plasma weapons carved molten lines through the colony's outer defenses. Quantum-resonant axes began to slice through reinforced bunkers as if they were made of paper. But something was wrong. Each cut, each blast seemed to reveal more than it destroyed. The humans weren't just defending. They were studying, analyzing, learning. Dr. Aisha Okoro, the colony's chief xenotech researcher, was capturing every millisecond of the invasion. Quantum signatures, energy dispersal patterns, weapon harmonics. Where other species saw an invasion, she saw the most comprehensive technological research opportunity in human history. "Fascinating," she whispered, her fingers flying across multiple holographic interfaces. "Their weapon systems operate on a quantum entanglement principle we've never seen before. Each strike contains more information than destruction." Rodriguez knew what most military commanders would never understand. In this moment, knowledge was the most powerful weapon. The Zarkali warriors moved with supernatural precision. Their biomechanical bodies could calculate trajectory and impact with computational speeds that would reduce most species to frozen terror. They had conquered galaxies, destroyed civilizations that had existed for millions of years. They had never met humans. As their axes cut through another defensive line, something unexpected happened. The cut sections began to respond. Nano-adaptive materials that the Zarkali had never encountered started to reconfigure, to analyze, to learn from each strike. They're treating this like a standard invasion, Rodriguez said, a dangerous smile crossing her face. Big mistake. 3 of her best engineers were already dissecting a fallen Zarkali weapon system, not hiding, not cowering, actively studying the most advanced technology they had ever encountered. We're not just going to survive, Rodriguez muttered, wiping a streak of blood from a deep gash on her cheek. We're going to turn their own technology into their worst nightmare. The invasion continued. The colony burned. But something fundamental was happening that the Zarkali couldn't comprehend. Humanity wasn't just resisting, they were evolving. The makeshift laboratory was a testament to human improvisation. Constructed from the remnants of destroyed colony infrastructure, emergency shelters, and salvaged computer cores, it pulsed with an energy that defied the chaos of the ongoing invasion. Dr. Kai Chen stood at the center of a holographic storm, quantum algorithms dancing around him like living mathematics. The fallen Zarkali weapon lay disassembled on a table that had once been part of a colony dining hall, now transformed into the most advanced research station in human history. It's not just a weapon, Chen muttered, his fingers tracing the intricate quantum matrices that formed the axe's core structure. It's a computational system more complex than any AI we've ever developed. Beside him, Dr. Aisha Okoro ran simultaneous quantum frequency analyses. The weapon's surface seemed to breathe, each microscopic element shifting, responding, existing in multiple states of potential simultaneously. Look at this, she called out, her voice a mixture of scientific excitement and barely contained wonder. The quantum entanglement isn't just a feature of the weapon. It's a living system. These matrices, they're not just storing information, they're processing it in real time. Captain Elena Rodriguez watched, her military training warring with her scientific curiosity. Most commanders would have demanded immediate weaponization. She understood. Something more profound was happening. The colony around them continued to burn. Zarkali invasion forces pushed deeper, their quantum-resonant weapons carving impossible paths through human defenses. But inside this laboratory, a different kind of war was being fought. We're not just reverse engineering, Chen explained, pulling up holographic representations of the weapon's quantum structure. We're learning an entirely new language of technological interaction. Each dissection revealed layers of complexity that challenged everything humans understood about physics, computation, and the very nature of technological systems. The Zarkali weapon was simultaneously a cutting tool, a computational device, and a living system of information transfer. Dr. Maya Rodriguez, Elena's younger sister and the colony's chief quantum physicist, noticed something extraordinary. The weapon's quantum matrix doesn't just store information, she said, her voice rising with excitement. It learns. Each strike, each interaction modifies its internal computational structure. This was more than reverse engineering. This was a fundamental reimagining of technological potential. Scattered around the laboratory were other captured Zarkali technologies. Communication devices that operated on principles humans had never conceived. Computational systems that seemed to exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. Each artifact was a puzzle, a challenge, an opportunity. They've been treating technology as a static tool, Kai Chen said, a dangerous light in his eyes. We're going to prove it can be something living, something that evolves. The first breakthrough came unexpectedly. A junior engineer named Marcus. We discovered that the weapon's quantum matrix could be influenced by specific harmonic frequencies. Not destroyed, not disabled, influenced. It's like learning a new language, Wei explained, his hands moving across quantum frequency modulators. We're not just translating, we're teaching the technology to speak our dialect. Outside, the invasion continued. But inside this laboratory, humanity was doing what it did best, turning the impossible into the inevitable. Captain Rodriguez understood the true nature of what was happening. This wasn't just about surviving an invasion. This was about fundamentally challenging the universe's understanding of technological potential. We're not just going to survive, she said, watching her team work. We're going to rewrite the rules of technological engagement. Dr. Okoro's next discovery was groundbreaking. The quantum matrices of the Zarkali weapon contained memory structures that went beyond traditional computational systems. Each strike, each interaction was not just recorded but integrated into the weapon's fundamental operational logic. "It's a living system of computational complexity," she explained, her voice a mixture of scientific awe and strategic calculation. "We're not just changing a weapon, we're teaching it a new language of destruction." The axe began to change, its blood-red markings flickered, now displaying human-generated quantum algorithms that danced like living code. What had been a tool of alien conquest was becoming something entirely new. A weapon that could learn, a technology that could evolve. As the Zarkali continued their assault, they remained blissfully unaware that with each strike, with each moment of invasion, they were providing humanity with the most comprehensive technological research opportunity in galactic history. The weapon hummed. Not with the Zarkali's murderous resonance, but with a frequency that whispered of human potential. Something extraordinary was about to be born. The mission was suicide. By all conventional military calculations, it was an impossibility wrapped in a quantum probability so close to zero that most strategic algorithms would have rejected the plan outright. Infiltrate the Zarkali flagship. Steal one of Denkstrala's primary axes. The kind of weapon that had consumed entire civilizations, that could slice through dimensional barriers, and had never been touched by an enemy. Captain Elena Rodriguez assembled a team that defied standard military logic. 4 individuals who represented the absolute pinnacle of human potential. Marcus Way, the quantum engineer who had first discovered the harmonic vulnerabilities in Zarkali technology. His fingers could dance across computational matrices faster than most AI systems could process. Pale, perpetually caffeine-buzzed, with eyes that saw mathematical possibilities where others saw only obstacles. Lieutenant Aria Blackwood, ex-Special Forces with a neural augmentation package that made her more machine than human. Her combat record was a classified document that made military strategists whisper in reverent terror. She moved like liquid potential, each movement a calculated dance of probabilistic perfection. Dr. Kaito Tanaka, the team's xenobiological expert. He understood alien physiological systems the way most people understood breathing. Where others saw impenetrable alien technology, Tanaka saw exploitable biological systems, computational vulnerabilities waiting to be decoded. And Rodriguez herself, a woman who had transformed a potential planetary extinction into the most comprehensive technological research opportunity in human history. Their infiltration began not with weapons, but with pure computational warfare. Weeks before the physical mission, human AI systems had been incrementally probing the Zarkali flagship's quantum communication networks, not attacking, not breaching, simply listening, learning, understanding the most microscopic computational rhythms of an alien technological ecosystem. Their security isn't a wall, Way had explained during mission prep. It's a living computational organism. We're not going to break through. We're going to become part of its language. The infiltration module they used looked nothing like a traditional spacecraft. Constructed from adaptive nanomaterials that could shift quantum states faster than most sensors could detect, it was less a vehicle and more a living computational probe. As they approached the massive Zarkali flagship, the Eternal Cleaver, the ship's quantum defensive matrices began to activate. Computational systems that had consumed entire civilizations started their intrusion protocols, but they were meeting something they had never encountered. Humans. Lieutenant Blackwood's neural augmentations interfaced with their infiltration systems, not through traditional hacking, but through a complex dance of quantum frequency modulation. She was simultaneously fighting and communicating, her mind moving faster than the most advanced alien computational systems could comprehend. "Quantum defensive matrix engaging," she reported, her voice clinical and calm. "Implementing adaptive resonance protocol." What looked like an impenetrable quantum shield to the Zarkali was, to the human team, nothing more than a complex language, waiting to be understood. Each defensive pulse was met with a counter-frequency that didn't just neutralize but began to integrate. Dr. Tanaka worked simultaneously on biological countermeasures. The Zarkali weren't just technological beings. They were living systems with computational matrices integrated into their very biological structure. Their defensive systems respond to quantum signatures, Tanaka muttered, but they've never encountered a signature that learns as fast as we can adapt. Inside the flagship, the weapon chamber was a cathedral of technological terror. The axes hung in quantum suspension fields that could slice through reality itself. Each weapon was more than a tool. It was a living record of galactic conquest. Rodriguez understood something the Zarkali had never comprehended. Technology wasn't just a tool, it was a language, and humanity was about to become fluent. The actual theft took 17 seconds. 17 seconds that would change the course of galactic history. When Xrala's psychic scream of rage was finally registered, the weapon was already gone, stolen from the most secure location in the known universe by 4 humans who represented something far more dangerous than any weapon: pure, unadulterated human potential. As their infiltration module quantum shifted away from the flagship, leaving behind nothing more than a computational ghost of their presence, Rodriguez allowed herself the smallest of smiles. They weren't just stealing a weapon, they were stealing the future. The laboratory was no longer just a research facility. It had become a crucible of technological resurrection, a place where the boundaries between weapon and understanding blurred into something entirely new. Dr. Kai Chen stood before the captured Zarkiliacs, his hands moving with a surgeon's precision and a poet's passion. Each modification was a calculated risk, each adjustment a quantum leap into the unknown. "We're not just reverse engineering," he explained to the team gathered around him. "We're performing technological exorcism." The axe lay spread across multiple holographic interfaces, its quantum matrix exposed like the intricate neural networks of some impossible mechanical brain. Where the Zarkali saw a weapon of conquest, Chen saw a complex computational system waiting to be understood. Dr. Aisha Okoro had discovered something extraordinary. The weapon's quantum matrices weren't just storage systems. They were living computational organisms. Each strike, each interaction modified its internal structure in ways that defied traditional understanding of technological systems. "Look at this," she said, pulling up a holographic representation that danced with impossible geometries. "The weapon doesn't just record information, it metabolizes it, learns from it, evolves." Captain Elena Rodriguez watched, her military strategic mind working in perfect harmony with the scientific curiosity surrounding her. Most military commanders would have demanded immediate weaponization. She understood they were witnessing something far more profound. The modifications began as whispers of possibility. Marcus Way, the quantum engineer who had first cracked the weapon's initial computational language, discovered that the axe's quantum entanglement could be manipulated through specific harmonic frequencies. Not destroyed, not disabled, fundamentally transformed. "It's like learning a new language," Way explained, his fingers dancing across quantum frequency modulators that looked like they'd been assembled from salvaged communications arrays and pure human ingenuity. "We're not just translating, we're teaching the technology to speak our dialect." Each team member brought a unique perspective. Dr. Kato Tanaka approached the weapon from a xenobiological standpoint, understanding that the line between technology and living system was far more blurred than anyone had previously imagined. "The Zarkali don't see their weapons as tools," Tanaka observed. "They see them as extensions of a living technological ecosystem. We're going to turn that ecosystem against them." The first breakthrough came unexpectedly. A microscopic adjustment to the weapon's quantum matrix created a cascading effect that was nothing short of miraculous. The blood-red markings that had once represented conquered civilizations began to shift, to change, to become something entirely new. "We're rewriting its fundamental operational logic," Dr. Okoro said, her voice a mixture of scientific awe and strategic calculation. "Each modification is like teaching a child a new way of understanding the world." The weapon began to respond in ways that defied its original purpose. Where it once sang a song of destruction, it now hummed with a complexity that spoke of potential. of adaptation, of something far more dangerous than mere conquest. Lieutenant Arya Blackwood, with her advanced neural augmentations, provided crucial insights. Her ability to interface with complex computational systems allowed the team to understand the weapon's quantum matrices in ways no conventional analysis could reveal. "It's not just a weapon," she reported, her neural interfaces displaying complex computational maps that looked like living mathematical poetry. "It's a computational system more complex than any AI we've ever developed. We're not just changing its function, we're teaching it to think." Captain Rodriguez understood the true nature of what was happening. This wasn't just about surviving an invasion. This was about fundamentally challenging the universe's understanding of technological potential. "We're going to turn their most advanced weapon into our most powerful tool of communication," she said, watching the Axe's quantum matrix dance with newly introduced human-generated algorithms. The final stage of modification was less about physical change and more about computational philosophy. The team wasn't just changing a weapon. They were teaching it an entirely new way of existing. As the Zarkali continued their invasion, unaware of the technological transformation happening in this small laboratory, something extraordinary was taking shape. A weapon that could learn, a technology that could evolve, a tool that represented something far more dangerous than destruction, pure, unadulterated human potential. The axe hummed, not with the Zarkali's murderous resonance, but with a frequency that whispered of possibilities yet unexplored. Something extraordinary was about to be born. Space itself seemed to hold its breath. The battle above Proxima Centauri b was unlike anything recorded in galactic history. Zarkali ships, monuments of technological terror that had consumed civilizations for millennia, found themselves confronting something they could not comprehend. Captain Elena Rodriguez's squadron moved with a precision that defied traditional military understanding. Each ship was more than a weapon system. They were living computational platforms, adaptive and responsive in ways the Zarkali could never have anticipated. "Quantum resonance alignment at 97%, announced Lieutenant Arya Blackwood, her neural interfaces creating a computational ballet of strategic potential. Modified axes are online and responsive." The weapons they had stolen, dissected, and reimagined were about to become something far more than tools of destruction. They were about to become a statement about the nature of technological evolution. Xrala watched from the bridge of the Eternal Cleaver, her quantum-enhanced perception struggling to process what was unfolding before her. The human fleet moved, like a living organism, each ship an extension of a collective intelligence that adapted faster than her most advanced computational systems could track. Dr. Kai Chen's modifications had transformed the stolen axes into something that was simultaneously a weapon, a communication device, and a learning system. Where the Zarkali saw technology as a static tool, humans had turned it into a dynamic language of potential. The first wave of Zarkali ships approached with their standard invasion protocol, a computational assault that had broken 1,000 civilizations. Quantum-resonant weapons prepared to slice through human defenses with mathematical precision. But precision met something entirely unexpected. Adaptive quantum reflection initiated, Marcus Way reported, his voice calm despite the apocalyptic scenario unfolding around them. The human ships didn't just defend, they learned. Each Zarkali weapon strike was instantaneously analyzed, understood, and transformed into a computational response. Dr. Aisha Okoro had designed the ship's defensive systems as a living, breathing, computational ecosystem. Traditional shields were static. These were dynamic, evolving systems that grew more complex with each interaction. "They're treating this like a standard invasion," Rodriguez muttered, a dangerous smile crossing her face. "Big mistake." The modified axes began to sing a new song of destruction, but it wasn't the murderous resonance the Zarkali understood. This was a computational symphony of adaptation, of learning, of fundamental transformation. Xrala's quantum-enhanced perception began to fracture. Her most advanced weapon systems were being turned against her with a speed and complexity that violated everything she understood about technological warfare. "Impossible," she whispered, her six-fingered hands moving across computational interfaces that were becoming increasingly irrelevant. Each human ship was a node in a living, breathing computational network. Where the Zarkali saw individual vessels, humans had created a collective intelligence that responded and adapted faster than any single computational system could process. The stolen axes became the focal point of the transformation. Weapons that had consumed civilizations were now being used to communicate a fundamental truth about technological potential. Humanity wasn't just fighting, they were evolving. Lieutenant Blackwood's neural interfaces reached a level of computational complexity that bordered on post-human potential. She wasn't just controlling the ships. She was becoming part of a collective computational organism that saw the battle as a complex mathematical conversation. "Quantum resonance complete," she reported. "Adaptive algorithms are now fully integrated." The Zarkali ships began to fall, not through traditional destruction, but through a process that was closer to computational obsolescence. Their weapon systems, their defensive matrices, their very understanding of technological warfare was being rewritten in real time. Dr. Kaito Tanaka, watching from the research vessel, understood the profound nature of what was happening. "We're not just defeating them," he said quietly. "We're teaching them a new way of understanding technology." And Xrila's flagship began to disintegrate, not through physical destruction, but through a process of computational transformation that was more terrifying than any weapon. The axes that had consumed civilizations were now teaching a lesson about the true nature of technological potential. As the last Zarkali ships fell, Rodriguez looked out at the transformed battlefield. This wasn't just a victory. This was a revolution, a statement about what happened when a species understood that technology was not a tool, but a living, evolving language of potential. Humanity had just rewritten the rules of galactic engagement. The final battle was never going to be about weapons. It was about understanding. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the reinforced observation deck, the modified quantum resonant axe humming with a complexity that defied traditional comprehension. Across from her, Nixrala, the legendary Zarkali warrior queen, represented 900 years of unbroken galactic conquest. Their confrontation was more than physical. It was a philosophical collision of technological paradigms. The station, around them was a hybrid space, part research facility, part battlefield, part living computational system. Adaptive nanomaterials shifted and responded to their movements, turning the environment itself into a dynamic computational interface. Xrala moved with the precision of a weapon that had consumed entire civilizations. Her biomechanical exoskeleton pulsed with quantum-resonant energy, each movement a mathematical calculation of potential destruction. Six-fingered hands gripped her most sacred axe, the weapon that had become a symbol of Zarkali technological supremacy. "You understand nothing." Nixrala's voice was a cascade of quantum frequencies that would have shattered the minds of most species. "This weapon has consumed galaxies." Rodriguez's response was a smile that contained entire universes of potential. "Weapons are just tools," she said quietly. "Understanding is the real technology." The first strike was a quantum ballet of impossible complexity. Nixrala's axe moved faster than light, cutting through dimensional barriers with a precision that had broken civilizations. But something was different. The modified human technology responded, not with resistance but with communication. Dr. Kai Chen's modifications had transformed the stolen axe into something far beyond a mere weapon. It was a living computational system that learned with each microscopic interaction. Where the Zarkali saw a tool of destruction, humans had created a system of understanding. Lieutenant Aria Blackwood's neural interfaces provided Rodriguez with computational insights that transformed the physical confrontation into a complex mathematical dialogue. Each movement was a computational algorithm, each strike a potential communication. Xrala's most devastating attacks found themselves absorbed, analyzed, transformed. The axe Rodriguez wielded wasn't just defending, it was learning. Impossible, the Zarkali Queen muttered, her quantum-enhanced perception struggling to process what was happening. The station itself seemed to respond to their conflict. Adaptive nanomaterials shifted, creating computational pathways that turned the environment into a living interface. What looked like a battle was actually a complex conversation about the nature of technological potential. Dr. Aisha Okoro's research had transformed the axe into more than a weapon. It was a computational probe, a living system of technological understanding. Each strike was a question. Each defense was an answer. Axrala represented 900 years of technological dogma. Rodriguez represented something far more dangerous, a species that saw technology not as a static tool, but as a living, evolving language. Your weapon is just a tool, Rodriguez said, her modified axe humming with impossible potential. We make tools evolve. The battle lasted minutes but felt like an eternity. Each strike was a statement about innovation, about the nature of technological progress. The Zarkali axe, a weapon that had consumed entire civilizations, found itself engaged in a conversation it could not comprehend. Dr. Kaito Tanaka, monitoring from a nearby research station, understood the profound nature of what was happening. It's not a fight, he muttered to his colleagues. It's a translation. Xrala's most devastating attacks found themselves transformed. The quantum-resonant energy that had broken 1,000 civilizations was being absorbed, analyzed, reimagined. Humanity wasn't just defending, they were communicating. The final moment came not with destruction, but with understanding. Rodriguez's modified axe had become something the Zarkali had never conceived, a living computational system that saw conflict as a form of communication. With a final, impossibly complex movement, Rodriguez didn't defeat Nexrala. She translated her. The axe dropped. Not broken. Not destroyed. Transformed. Xrala stood, her quantum-enhanced perception struggling to process what had just happened. She had not been defeated. She had been understood. "What are you?" she whispered. Rodriguez's smile contained entire universes of potential. "We're humans," she said, "and we're just getting started." The Museum of Interstellar Conflict stood as a testament to humanity's most profound transformation. Located on the reconstructed colony of Proxima Centauri b, it was more than a collection of artifacts. It was a living archive of technological evolution. Xrala sat in her carefully designed containment chamber, no longer a conqueror but a witness to a technological revolution she could never have anticipated. The chamber was a marvel of adaptive quantum technologies, a space that was simultaneously a research facility, a living museum exhibit, and a philosophical conversation. Captain Elena Rodriguez walked through the central hall, surrounded by captured Zarkali technologies that had been transformed beyond their original purpose. Each artifact told a story of innovation, of a species that saw limitation as an opportunity for understanding. They didn't just lose a war, Dr. Aisha Okoro explained to a group of young researchers. They lost their fundamental belief about technological supremacy. The captured axes hung in quantum suspension fields, their blood-red markings now dancing with human-generated algorithms. Where they once represented conquered civilizations, they now told a story of technological potential. Dr. Kaichin approached a particularly complex display, his fingers tracing the quantum matrices that had been rewritten during the conflict. "Each weapon is a language," he said quietly, "and we've learned to speak it." Lieutenant Arya Blackwood's neural interfaces provided continuous analysis of the museum's adaptive technologies. The entire facility was a living research project, continuously learning, continuously evolving. Xrala watched, her quantum-enhanced perception struggling to comprehend the transformation she was witnessing. The Zarkali had seen technology as a tool of conquest. Humans saw it as a form of communication, of understanding. "How?" she finally asked Rodriguez, her voice a complex harmonic that spoke of centuries of technological dogma crumbling. Rodriguez's smile contained entire universes of potential. "We never saw your weapons as just tools to be destroyed," she explained. "We saw them as a conversation waiting to happen." The museum was divided into sections that told a complex story of technological evolution. The adaptation wing showcased how human researchers had transformed Zarkali technologies. Adaptive nanomaterials that could change their fundamental structure. Quantum resonant systems that learned and evolved with each interaction. Technologies that blurred the line between tool and living system. The collaborative research section demonstrated the most profound transformation. Researchers from dozens of human colonies worked alongside carefully monitored Zarkali scientists, turning what was once a conflict into a collaborative exploration of technological potential. Dr. Kaito Tanaka was giving a lecture to a group of young researchers, his hands moving across holographic interfaces that showed the complex journey of technological understanding. "The Zarkali saw technology as a static tool of conquest," he explained. "We saw it as a living language of potential." In a carefully maintained research wing, the original modified axe that had changed everything sat in a quantum suspension field. It was no longer a weapon. It was a Rosetta Stone of technological communication. Young researchers from multiple species studied its complex quantum matrices. Where the Zarkali had seen a tool of destruction, humans had created a system of understanding that transcended traditional technological boundaries. Xrala watched as her most sacred weapons were transformed into tools of collaborative research. The axes that had consumed galaxies were now teaching lessons about the nature of technological potential. "We are not your enemies," Rodriguez said, watching the museum's adaptive technologies respond to their conversation. "We are your partners in understanding." The Zarkali delegation, carefully monitored but no longer prisoners, worked alongside human researchers. Each day was a new lesson in technological collaboration, in seeing beyond the limitations of traditional understanding. A small plaque in the central hall captured the essence of humanity's transformation. "Innovation has no species. Progress knows no boundaries." As the sun set on Proxima Centauri b, the museum's adaptive technologies continued their endless dance of learning. The captured axes hummed with a frequency that spoke of possibilities yet unexplored. Xrala looked out at the facility that represented humanity's most profound achievement. Not conquest, not destruction. Understanding. "We are humans," the museum seemed to whisper, "and we're just getting started."